With the potential system now being released, you might be curious what's changed for Ellen and where she lands among all the changes in 2.5. Worry not, as today we'll be breaking down everything you need to know about her changes, why Zhao is actually much nicer for her than we thought, and why she's actually shaping up to be stronger than we initially believed. As a reminder though, some footage from today's video will be from the creator beta server, so some things may have changed since live, but if you're curious about how to play any of the other agents talked about in today's video, be sure to check out my other videos on them now. Finally, if you enjoyed or learned something from today's video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. But without further ado, let's break down everything you might have missed about Ellen. Now, as I've already made a recent updated Ellen guide, many of the details from that video are still relevant. The way her kit works, the goal of Ellen during stun and non-stun combos, and even her best teammates have remained sort of similar. However, I didn't want to continue without summarizing a few important details from said video before I go over the real reason I wanted to cover Ellen in today's video, her potentials. With this though, to start with her kit reminder, Ellen's gameplay revolves around Flash Freeze Charge, and this is a unique resource that she generates through EX specials, dash attacks, and specific movement options. Her special attack is one of the best ways that she deals damage, but this also acts as a generator of said resource. With this, pressing it once grants a charge, and pressing it again will give you the EX special Sharknami, and this is also one of her strongest damage tools too. Her dodge and assist are standard, but holding or double tapping dodge puts Ellen into a roaming state where tapping basic grants 1 freeze charge and holding it grants 3. Her additional ability activates when paired with a Victoria housekeeping agent or another ice unit, letting her stack up to 10 ice damage buffs at 3% per stack, but damage wise, Ellen's core passive is a major contributor to it, granting a massive 100% crit damage bonus to her ultimate, chain attack, and 2 enhanced basic attack variations, Icy Blade and Glacial Blade Wave. Her basic attack combo is where she gains one of her highest damage relevant abilities though, with Flash Freeze Trimming, which is something that she'll aim to use whenever she has her unique resource available, and also able to shortcut through some of her abilities. That said, like with all other attack agents, Ellen's chain and ultimate deal massive damage, and her core passive buffing them specifically is even more reason to use them. Now let's talk about the potential system. As a fun fact or reminder, Ellen and ZenlessZoneZero Ambi's first potentials were actually introduced as reworks or overhauls prior to the actual potential system being released. And to be honest, though the ways in which they were buffed were cool and unique, with concepts like Ellen's improved dash attack and ice waves, the reality was that ZenlessZoneZero Ambi and Ellen's gameplay changes especially were not enough really to compete with some of the best DPS in the game. Other stronger limited DPS agents like Evelynn, Miyabi, and even Yixuan were smashing content, and even when taking agents without element advantage into some of Ellen and ZenlessZoneZero Ambi's best boss matchups, they would struggle score-wise by comparison. But now we enter a new period in ZenlessZoneZero where Ellen, the focus of today's video, and ZenlessZoneZero Ambi, fairly in a later video, have now received numerical damage increases alongside buffs through new agents being released as well. These changes and additions are not minor and are actually some of the most significant improvements that we've ever seen score-wise, but to quickly recap what changes when Ellen's potentials activate, Ellen's P1 first changes her gameplay. Her basic attack gains new follow-ups tied to her Flash Freeze charges, and after her third basic attack, dash attack, dodge counter, or quick assist, if she has at least 2 Flash Freeze charges, pressing basic will trigger Glacial Blade Wave, consuming 2 charges and looping back into her third basic hit. Separately, after her third basic, EX, dodge counter, or assist follow-up, she will also automatically perform Icy Blade, which grants her the quick charge effect. Now during the scissor charge animation, Ellen will now also prevent incoming damage and can't be interrupted, giving her more safety when trying to perform her stronger attacks. Finally, her core passive has also been improved, allowing her to work with stun agents instead of just being restricted only to Victoria housekeeping characters or same attribute teammates. From P2 onward to P6, Ellen receives an additional stacking crit damage bonus of up to 10 stacks that attaches itself to her additional ability, but each stack provides 1.6 to 4.8 crit damage depending on your potential rank. And once she reaches the maximum number of stacks in this case, she will also now ignore between 3.3 and 10% of the enemy's ice res depending on your potential rank once again. Now at this point, you might be wondering if this really changes anything at all for Ellen, and the truth is, it really does. Regardless of the current Deadly Assault buff or how many bosses are suited for Ellen specifically at the moment, the changes they've made with characters like Zhao and Dialyn being introduced alongside numerical buffs to her kit are noticeable. By numbers alone, the changes account for a 22 to 26% damage increase depending on your setup, but if you needed a direct reference for what this means for Ellen, the gap in performance is similar in feeling and size to that of removing her signature and replacing it with Starlight Engine. Now the math alone here is crazy for Ellen's future performances, but to really understand how this feels in game, I decided to test and compare Ellen at P1 and P6. At P1, Ellen's highest performing team was Ellen, Dialyn, Zhao, posting a 52-second clear with 31.5k points, which is honestly shocking considering Astra is typically far far ahead of any third slot support by comparison. However, this isn't to say there was a huge gap, as Ellen, Dialyn, Astra performed well at 47 seconds and 27.8k points. That said, when Dialyn, Astra, or Zhao were removed, performances dropped off fairly quickly, with Lycaon and lighter variants lagging behind in both speed and output. Before we go further though, I do want to comment that though my testing with Zhao showed her to be quite strong when paired with Ellen, the average performance and feeling when using Astra or Zhao was fairly similar, though there were definitely optimizations or RNG in certain runs, which definitely affected their scores. In addition to this though, removing Zhao's signature was a massive hit to her Deadly Assault scoreline, where Astra was still very competitive even with Soukaku's signature or Kaboom. When comparing the former best team, Ellen, Lycaon, Soukaku though, to Ellen's new top setups, the gap shown was pretty significant. At P1, Lycaon Soukaku cleared in 71 seconds with only a 16.7k point score, but this was over 35 seconds slower and nearly 15,000 points lower than Dialyn Zhao at P1. Moving to P1 versus P6 though, Ellen still remained strong across the board. Ellen, Dialyn, Astra improved from 27.8 to 30,000 points, while Ellen, Dialyn, Zhao jumped from 31,000 to almost 40,000 points, which was definitely her biggest power spike with investment, though this definitely felt also like a very lucky run. That said, there were other factors to consider here, of course, including play, RNG attacks from enemies, or even just skill issues, but ultimately the difference was absolutely noticeable. At P6 though, Ellen's best performing team was Ellen, Dialyn, Zhao, achieving a 46-second clear and a massive 39,815 score as previously mentioned. However, as a reminder, Dialyn, Astra, Yao, or even Dialyn Lighter were still very competitive here, but the ability to help with these and play primarily off-field while benefiting from Zhao's buffs did feel much more comfortable compared to the two other lineups. Comparing the gap between Ellen's current best team and her former best lineup at P6 also showcased just how high Ellen could score, though admittedly her old setup was still solid from a more free-to-play point of view. At P6, Ellen, Dialyn, Zhao outscored Ellen, Lycaon, Soukaku again by over 21,000 points, and the Soukaku lineup unfortunately only scored at roughly 18.7k points. Now, though again, this was more than double the score at the same investment level, Dialyn and Zhao both had signatures, while Dialyn also presents herself as one of the strongest agents in the game at the moment. If you're curious in seeing exactly how much better or worse a specific Ellen team performed though, feel free to join the Discord to see this and the rest of my team's result tables, but put simply, these results were even more impressive than I thought they'd be. Even though prior potential tests have shown that characters like Soldier, Grace, or Bernice should see upwards of 10 to 17% increases in damage, I found it to be equally relevant, important, and also rewarding to actually test and see what the true gap in score would come from if you actually put it to practical play. Now, I apologize as this isn't supposed to be an update to an updated guide to Ellen, since not much has really changed in terms of how she plays from my last Ellen video, but in case you've made it this far and are curious, Ellen's signature is great on her, but Brimstone, Hugo's signature, and even Starlight Engine are great alternatives. Statline wise, she's looking for roughly 3,000 attack, 60 crit rate, and 150 crit damage, with a 4th slot crit rate or crit damage disc, a 5th slot pen ratio, ice damage or attack disc, and her 6th slot of course should be attack percent too. Gameplay wise, she's still looking to perform roughly 2 chain attacks, 1 ultimate or 2 if you have Dialyn, and perform her EX special twice under a stun window. And when it comes to her mindscapes, they are decent, though I personally wouldn't go past her second mindscape unless they add her or other limited 1.0 DPS to the standard banner. Finally though, although her free-to-play team of Lycaon and Soukaku feels much weaker than before, it's still serviceable, and otherwise you should definitely be pairing Dialyn with Zhao or Astra, though again, a warning with Zhao that if you don't have Zhao's signature, she definitely performs much worse compared to a character like Astra. That's gonna be it for today's update on Ellen though. I'm genuinely surprised at how far she's come since 1.0, and though it did take one rework and a bunch of free stats for her to shine, I'm very impressed with how well she's currently performing, especially with a free agent like Zhao. With this, especially if you're someone who's avoided Hugo or doesn't feel satisfied with other DPS at the moment, I definitely give Ellen another try. Thanks again for watching, and as we wrap up today's video, I'll be including a few runs that I had with Ellen and variants of her teams, but as a reminder, these are by no means flawless runs, and they're mostly meant to showcase what to expect from Ellen if you pick her up. With this though, I'll see you all in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, good night.